Hello, friends. It is Nomad Brad coming to you from my box truck. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody doing? I got the live view camera going. We are at a park in Long Beach, California. Absolute beautiful spot. Spent the day here. It's about 6 o'clock California time. The sun is going down. You can see off in the sunset, or off in the distance, we have a little bit of a sunset kind of dripping down into the sky. This is an absolutely beautiful location. And I love being parked right here on the street at the park, hanging out in the good vibes. How's everybody doing today? I know we have this crazy hurricane situation. It seems like just last week we had um, the hurricane that hit North Carolina. And then a week later, now we have a hurricane heading for Florida. And so um, I hope that everybody is staying safe. If you're in Florida, I hope you evacuated, especially if you're in a vehicle, if you're in the path of the hurricane. That's the benefit of being a nomad, right? Is we don't necessarily have to stick it out. We can just relocate when things get a little bit sketchy, and we can take all of our belongings and possessions with us. So hopefully you guys are being safe. I know Charlie Pepin is in Florida. Let's go back to the chat. Super Dave is in Brunswick, Georgia. Charlie Pepin is in Cocoa, Florida, in an RV in a hurricane. Charlie Pepin, I hope you're staying safe. I'm not sure where Cocoa, Florida is at. I guess I should pull that up and take a little peek here. Let's see. Let's do this. And let's do this. Let's see where Charlie Pepin is at. Let's see how close he is to the hurricane madness. Cocoa, Florida. Is that separate from Cocoa Beach? Cocoa, Florida? Let's see. Here's Cocoa. Let's zoom out. Okay. So it looks like Charlie there in Cocoa, potentially you're in the path of the hurricane, but you're on the back side of it. So the hurricane's got to cover a lot of land before it gets to you, and I think the land kind of slows everything down and kind of takes some of the thunder out of the hurricane. So hopefully, Charlie, hopefully you're okay and it misses you and it's not going to be an issue. Let me see if I can get this window resized here. It's a little bit off the map. Hold on. There we go. Let's try to resize this thing. Let me know, by the way, how my volume is doing. I have it set to the same settings we were at last week. And so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Also, it looks like the internet is in a lot better condition than it was last week. I want to apologize again. The internet was super rough for last week's live stream, but I'm getting green bars here in Long Beach, so hopefully not too much buffering or skipping. Okay, so here's the map. You can see this little red circle. This is Cocoa, Florida, according to Google Maps. So that should be where Charlie's at. The last I saw on the hurricane, they're basically predicting it to go just, east, somewhere between Tampa and Fort Myers area, somewhere right through here. So, yeah, hopefully he's safe in his RV. Let's cruise down. Diana Saylor, good evening from Kansas City, Missouri. Still in my manufactured home. Leaving in September. Oh, leaving in September couldn't happen. Working on a few issues. Diana, I hope you get out of there soon. Will from Kentucky. Hello, Will. Happy to have you. John C. in the house. You're right, John C. That thumbnail I threw up for today was an old photo of Abundant, which was my last box truck. My previous box truck was Abundant. Much more of a bare bones design than what I have now. That's for sure. Robert, hello from Arkansas. Revo Runner, hello. John C. Rhymes with Orange, hello. Happy to have you here, Rhymes with Orange. Thanks for tuning in. I ran into him in San Diego in a parking lot. He was driving a big, like a tour bus, and he stopped by to say hello. Um, Super nice guy. Happy to have you here, Rhymes with Orange. Matt AK, uh, leaving watching hurricane coverage to watch box truck shenanigans. Matt AK, happy to have you here. We're definitely getting into some box truck shenanigans tonight. So I'm going to be showing you guys. I'm going to go ahead and start planning my next box truck build. And so I'm just going to walk you guys through the process so you can just see live how I plan these things out, what I take into consideration, and hopefully it'll give some of you guys ideas if you are also thinking about building out a vehicle. John C. Living the dream in Fairfax County, Virginia. Happy to hear it, John C. Charles Serratos. Where do we go? We just lost it there. Lots, very active in the chat. Appreciate you guys. Charles Serratos, hello. Rhymes with Orange says Long Beach is sketchy. I'll tell you, man, everywhere can be sketchy. It just depends on where you go. So far, it's been pretty friendly to me. Okay, Diver in the house. Hello, happy to see you here. He says, me and my family are starting van life January 1st. Happy to hear it. You're just a couple months away. Very exciting times. Drawn to Drift stayed there for a while a few years ago. Nice. I agree. It's pretty nice. Charlie says it's here. It just hit landfall. Space Center. Matt AK, they got a lot of tornadoes today on the east coast of Florida. Yeah, I did. You know, I've been kind of watching on and off on Twitter. I kind of use Twitter as my news source. And so I have been seeing a lot of hurricane coverage and tornadoes coming in. I saw that Naples, Florida has already started flooding. So they must be super low elevation or something. I know Florida is mostly flat, but I did see that Naples is already flooding. So that's pretty crazy. Animus D, what are legit sites for checking weather forecast? My friend likes AccuWeather, but curious about others. I'm not sure if anyone's got suggestions for weather forecasts. Throw it up in the chat. Charlie Pepin, gonna be just a tropical storm when it gets here. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. By the time it crosses all the way over that land, Charlie Pepin, you should be fine. It'll be windy and blustery, and hopefully you're not parked under any trees, but otherwise you should be fine. King Gamer in the chat, hello. Happy to see King Gamer here. Hanging out for a Nomad session. Volume good, perfect audio. Thank you. Good internet. Yes, I agree. Awesome. Happy to hear it. Here in Long Beach, the internet is good. The sound is good. All right, let's go ahead and cruise down and just see what's going on. Rhymes with Orange. I'll be in Long Beach tomorrow for a minute. Polymath, happy to have you here. King Gamer wants to know where I'm at. I'm parked at a park in Long Beach, California. So I've been hanging out with Suron Dave the last few days. I met up with Dave on Sunday night in Los Angeles. He's got a parking spot up by Dodger Stadium. And so we hung out Sunday night. We went for an e-bike ride on Monday. And then Tuesday, we moved south down to Santa Monica and spent a day at Santa Monica riding around, just checking the scene. And then Wednesday, and then I guess Tuesday, kind of late afternoon, then we jumped down to Long Beach. So Santa Monica was pretty cloudy. There was a really heavy marine layer. We weren't getting any solar. It was kind of gloomy. And so that's the reason we headed down. Otherwise, we probably would have stayed in Santa Monica this whole time. So anyway, here we are in Long Beach. It's absolutely beautiful. The thing I love about California is there's so many beaches along the coast. I mean, you can just drive basically a half hour to an hour at a time, and you're just going to constantly be hitting new beaches with new scenery and new vibes. And so there's a lot to explore on the California coast. So keep an eye out for Sunday's video. Sunday's video will cover, some of my e-bike riding and just kind of what we're doing down here on the coast in California. It's been a pretty fun time so far. Robert, have you ever considered running to MPPT solar controllers for redundancy? That way you could have 3 in series and 2 in series. Robert, I have an all-in-one inverter charger, and it has a built-in MPPT controller. So I just have a single controller. I don't have multiple. Um, I hear you on multiple for redundancy. If my all-in-one takes a crap, I lose everything. My solar, my inverting, my shore power, I lose all of it. So I'm just kind of rolling the dice by having everything tied up in one unit. So far it's been fine, but that's definitely something to think about. I know a lot of units run the Victron Multiplus inverter charger because it's super dependable, and then they run multiple solar controllers. So I don't think that's a bad idea at all. Animus says, I was in Orlando when Hurricane Charlie hit in '04, spent the night in baggage claim in the airport. They grounded all the flights. Yeah, so um, I was actually in St. Croix, Virgin Islands in 2017, or was it 18? I think it was 2017 when Hurricane Maria hit. There were actually three hurricanes that hit the island. I was there on vacation with my girlfriend and my mom, and we had an Airbnb, and the island was absolutely devastated. We were super lucky because the building we were staying in was concrete, so it was poured concrete, very, very strong structure. It had been there 100 years. And so I felt super safe inside, but we were literally inside, all of us, like watching out the window as there was absolute devastation. The roof on the neighbor's building, which was all wood, the whole roof got peeled off. It literally peeled off and blew over the fence and landed in our yard. So the whole roof of the neighbor's house landed in our yard. One of our decks got ripped off. All the trees got shredded. It was an absolute scary situation. And I remember the door, because our Airbnb had a big sliding glass door. And I remember just sitting in the main room watching, and the whole glass door was just like buckling in and out, just wow, 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 with the force of the wind. It was insane. That was the first time I'd ever been in a super powerful natural disaster like that. And it was pretty impressive to see how powerful that stuff is. So I definitely have a lot of respect for um, definitely have a lot of respect for Mother Nature. Dr. Acer Chromebook says better sound system next build, maybe exciters in the wall. I don't know what that means. Rick's in a house. New subscribers below. The Wanderbox. What's up, Wanderbox? Happy to see you here. Wanderbox, one of the most amazing box builders in the area, in the game. He's up in Oregon right now, doing it big on Zach's box truck build. Happy to see him here. Eden the Bus, I asked you a bunch of questions before choosing my rig. I finally got it. Thank you for consulting me on where to park this thing. I eventually found an owner of an empty lot. Eden the Bus, happy to hear it. Happy to hear that I answered some questions for you and you got it figured out. Yeah, that's one thing. If you guys are looking for a spot to park long term, maybe in a city, you might try to track down an owner of a parking lot. And I'm thinking, these days with, crime and sketchy people being more prevalent, I think there's probably a lot of people that own like parking lots or business complexes that might actually be interested in having somebody they trust living on site and just monitoring it and making sure nothing sketchy happens. So there might be more and more of an opportunity for vehicle dwellers to have a free place to stay in exchange for kind of just monitoring and making sure nothing crazy happens. King Gamer, I heard over the weekend in Venice they had a little Burning Man meetup. Oh, no way. That's cool, man. I didn't know about that. Hola, Senor Brad. Do you regret no bathroom? I do not regret no bathroom. I've been living in a vehicle for 6 years now, never had a bathroom. This vehicle does not have a bathroom. Although, in the next build, the one we're going to work on today, I am going to install a bathroom. And the main reason is I just have so much more space. So I'm not inherently against having a bathroom in a vehicle. But when you have a small floor plan like mine right now, my 12-foot box truck, a bathroom just takes up a lot of space. And so you can absolutely have one if you want one, but it's just less space you're going to have for other stuff. So I have no regrets not having a bathroom. And if I was building out another smaller rig like this, I would still not put a bathroom in it because the reality is you're just not going to use it enough to really warrant having that space. I mean, I have a toilet. You don't need you don't need walls for a toilet, right? So I have a toilet that works fine. I'm super comfortable using it. It's very easy to use. I actually prefer it to using like a public bathroom. So it's a very comfortable toilet. Very happy with it. I just don't have a shower. Shower requires four walls. Toilet does not. So basically, the only thing you're giving up is a shower by not having four walls. And so, I just shower at Planet Fitness or wherever, and it's really not that big of a deal. And if you're someone that, feels like you have to shower every day, this lifestyle might not be for you. Or you might decide, you might get into it and find out you don't actually need a shower every day. But if you're someone that does need a daily shower, you'll have to really think about that because there's also the complexities of having to constantly fill and empty your water tanks because you can only carry so much water with you. So it becomes, at one point, if you're going to shower every day, it becomes this whole process where you're just constantly like either on the hunt to fill up water or empty water, and it just kind of it becomes a bit of a challenge. I should actually ask Sir on Dave how often he showers because I know Sir on Dave has a shower in his box truck, and I've seen him use it a few times when we were hanging out. So I'm curious how often Dave showers, if he's like a daily shower kind of guy or a couple days a week. Curious about that. Mischief Maker, Blue Eddy all-in-one game changer with add-on power, 5 kW, under 3 grand, plus it's portable. Yeah, that's one way to do it. Super Dave, getting a generator, rhymes with orange. If you could install a pop-up roof, have your bed over the cab. Yeah, if I did a pop-up, you could definitely put the bed over the cab. Dr. Acer Chromebook, get a shower not every day and very short showers. Yeah, you can get a shower and not every day and very short showers. But then again, the problem I have is then you have this space that's going to have to be, at least 2 feet by 2 feet that's dedicated to something you're only going to use for 5 minutes a day, a couple days a week. And when you're living in a space that's only 12 feet long, it's hard to justify giving up 2 feet of space to something you're only going to use for 5 minutes a day, 3 days a week. I'm telling you, man, I know it's like, it doesn't seem like much, but once you put in a shower, you'll realize. That's why a lot of people that do have showers in their smaller vehicles, like in Pro Masters and Sprinters, they don't end up using them. If you talk to somebody that has a van with a shower, most people don't use them. They just end up using them as storage. They just pile extra stuff in them. Just I know you guys don't want to. I get it. It's hard to fathom, but I'm just telling you, it's a lot. For us real nomads, an indoor shower is a must. Mischief Maker, I've been a nomad for 6 years. I have no indoor shower. I would argue with you on that. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and hop into it. So, oh, here, Sir on Dave in the chat. What up, bro? Okay, Dave says he's taking a shower every 2 to 3 days. My 40-gallon tank lasts me about a week and a half. So there you go, from the man himself, Sir on Dave in the chat. He takes a shower every 2 to 3 days, and he's got a big tank, and it lasts him about a week and a half. So there you go. And Sir on Dave, he's got the bigger box. He's got the 14-foot length. And so, like in his rig, the shower doesn't feel like it takes up that much space. Like he's still got a full-size bed, big, long kitchen work area. He's got his big, full-size e-bike in there. He's got some tools. So he's got really a lot of space. So that's kind of my thought is if you're going to do a shower, I would just look for a bigger rig. I would do like Dave's, which is the 14-foot box, bumper to bumper. He's at about 23 feet. So I would say that box truck or shuttle bus, you can do a shuttle bus too. They have them about the same dimensions. Wander box. I love my bathroom with walls because the box is always loaded full of people. Shower is a must for me because everybody uses it. I shower a few times a week, but somebody uses it. Yeah, that's another thing to consider is like wander box is, he's building. So if you're doing like a physical job, labor, like if you're a builder, or you're running around getting sweaty, you are going to want to shower more often, and so you're going to want to have your own shower system. And so it's just up to you, whether you want to do an outdoor shower or you want to do an indoor shower. That's cool. Wanderbox does have a smaller box. He has the 12-foot box, and he really designed his layout well. I like the way he did his shower is like back in the corner, and so it kind of just tucks away, and there's like a little entrance, but the rest of the shower is like behind some like closet space, so it doesn't feel like you're giving up a whole bunch of room. And then also the nice thing about Wanderbox is his build is an elevator bed with a seating area underneath. So that's what's nice is when he's not sleeping, he can just motor the bed up out of the way, and then he has a big lounge area. So that's something else to consider if you really want to shower. Another way you can get more space out of your vehicle would be if you do an elevator bed, because that's another big like waste of space. If you have like a full size bed, I mean, you're talking 4.5 feet wide of floor space that you're giving up. So I would definitely consider looking into an elevator bed if you're going to be doing that. Wanderbox, 75 gallons, lasts 2 to 7 days. If I'm solo, 2 to 3 weeks. There you go. 75 gallons. Man, that's a lot of water. I like it. 2 to 7 days. Yeah, that's true though. Wanderbox is he's washing the community. He's always helping people, giving out showers and stuff. So that's another thing to consider is if you're going to be helping out and if you're going to be helping out and hanging out with other people, then it might be something to consider to have a shower just to help out other folks. JH says almost every shower I see in tours on cheap RV living, they use it for storage. Journey with Nicole, hello, welcome, happy to see you, happy to have you here. Okay, here we go. So I'm gonna go ahead and hop in, go over some box truck build plans. Handy Solutions is asking in the chat, when's everything heading to Arizona? I'm slowly heading south. Today is Wednesday. I plan to be in San Diego next week, maybe Monday or Tuesday, and I'll be in San Diego until the weather cools down. So as soon as temperatures drop in Arizona, then I'll be heading over to Arizona. So maybe November, maybe like early November, I'll go to Arizona. And as soon as the weather cools, a lot of other nomads will be over there as well. So in general, basically end of November through March, there's tons of nomads in Arizona. Most people are there by Thanksgiving. Obviously, through Christmas and New Year's, everybody's down there in Arizona doing nomad stuff. So I definitely invite you guys to come on out if you want to experience a nomad winter. Wanderbox says the box I'm building has 200 gallons of water. It lasts these boys 3 days. Good thing water is accessible. Yeah, that's crazy. Zach's box truck has 200 gallons of water and it lasts him 3 days. That's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Okay, here we go. Let's go ahead and hop into it. We're going to yeah, I'm sure Cheap RV Living is doing a gathering in Pahrump. I know Bob usually does. He used to do his van builds, his like charity van builds in Pahrump, Nevada. They have a mailbox down there, so they go to Nevada quite a bit. But I'm not a big fan of Pahrump. Yeah, it's just not. I don't know. They have beautiful sunsets, but the town is pretty small. Okay, let's go ahead and pull. Where are we at? Let's pull the webcam. And let's pull the phone. Okay, here's pages. All right, so I'm going to kind of go over some plans with you guys, just show you what's up. So this is the box truck that I'm planning to build out. I talked about it last week a little bit. I'm just going to give a little overview. I don't know that it's going to be this exact truck, but it's going to be just something similar. And so this is the 16-foot box. What I like about it is it's 16 feet on the box side, but because the cab is directly over the engine, the bumper to bumper is only 23 feet. So you get a lot of living space with the 16-foot box, but with a 23-foot bumper to bumper, you still have pretty easy. You can still park it pretty easily. So that's the rig I'm looking at. I think I'm going to get the gasoline engine. Initially, I was going to get the 5.2 liter diesel, but I did the math, and 5.2 liter diesel, 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 5. the cost savings on gas versus diesel is not that much. And so I think I would prefer to have the gasoline engine. It's a 6-liter Chevy, and it's just going to be much cheaper and simpler to maintain. Here's kind of a shot with the cab tilted up. Look how much access you get to the engine. Like anything you need to work on, plugs, injectors, starter, alternator. Look at that, alternator right there. Super easy to work on this engine system, DIY, whatever you need to do. So I very much like the easy accessibility. Here's a shot inside the box. Now, another reason I like this vehicle specifically is it has this loading ramp right here, this big black loading ramp that folds up and tucks right underneath the rear of the box. So it does not add to the length of your vehicle. You're still only 23 feet. But then when you want to have a little deck to hang out and enjoy the sunrise or the sunset, you can just unfold this deck. And now you have, it looks like it might be, nearly 3 feet long. So you have a little 3-foot deck space, and this motors up and down. So you can also, if you want to load something heavy or whatever you want to do, you can use this as a lift gate as well. So I think that's a really cool feature. Here's my plan for the rear of the box. I'm going to have an entry door on the right-hand side. I'm going to have a window on the left-hand side right here. And then up top, I'm going to have the outdoor portion of my mini split. I'm going to try to mount it up at the top of the box just to keep it up out of the way, and so I don't have to bump into it. And then I'm hoping that I can figure out a way to mount an e-bike onto this rear deck right here, because this deck is fixed. It's stationary. It doesn't move. When you're running the pneumatic or the motorized deck in and out. So now we're coming down to kind of my layout. Let me zoom out so you guys can see all this. So I think what's really important when you're designing a vehicle is, first of all, you really just need to, take into consideration kind of all the systems and features that you want to have. And then you want to go ahead and just play with the measurements to kind of see how everything fits on paper, or in this case, digitally, before you actually start building stuff. And so that's just going to help you guys, be a little more successful and make sure you're not running into too many mistakes along the way. So I'll show you guys. Let's see. Let me grab this. Let me bring this down a little bit like this. Okay, cool. So this is my layout. Here's what I've done. So we can see the width of the box is about 7.5 feet, which comes out to 90 inches. The length of the box is 16 feet, which is 192 inches. So that's kind of the living space we have to work with. The box truck is about 7 feet tall, but for this right here, this dimension, we're not going to take into account height. This image is basically from the top looking down. So we're just looking down at the floor plan of the box truck, okay? And so let's see, looking at the comments, he says, I own a 2017 Isuzu NPR gas with a dump bed. It's been extremely reliable. Thank you. Happy to hear it. Yeah, I think this 6-liter Chevy is probably a pretty good engine, so I'm cool with that. Okay, so looking at the design, this is what I came up with so far. Up here, this is going to be the front of the box. In the back, this is the rear of the box. And so what I came up with initially is I'm going to have an elevator bed. And by the way, this isn't quite to scale. So I've just kind of approximated. All the measurements are exact, but I've just kind of approximated physically what the items, how much space they will take up. I don't know exactly what scale is. So this is just kind of a light reference. But anyway, I'm going to have an elevator bed up front near the front wall of the box. And so the bed, it'll be a full-size mattress again, which comes out to about 55 inches wide. And so I've went ahead and drawn in the elevator bed, and I'm subtracting that 55 inches from the overall length of the box. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a storage wall right back on the very back of the box. And so I thought this would be kind of a clever idea. So as you look here into this box truck, imagine this very back wall, which is about 7.5 feet wide and 7 feet tall. imagine that whole wall is basically a storage shelf. So I would just have rows and rows of shelving that would be, the shelves themselves would be about 10 inches deep. The overall depth of the shelf unit would be 12 inches. So I'm only giving up a foot of length on my box, but I basically have this huge wall of storage. So that's where I can store all my, basically just all my extra supplies, my clothing, bedding, extra sheets, extra food, tools, basically anything that I want, I can store up against that wall without really giving up too much space. And when you think about 12 inches, it doesn't sound very deep, but that's actually the same depth as all my overhead cabinets. Actually, my overhead cabinets are 11 inches deep. So it's actually quite a bit of space. And then when you consider 7.5 feet long, I'll be able to put quite a bit of things into that. So that's the first thing on the design. I'm going to have a floor-to-ceiling storage wall. And I'm not sure exactly yet what I'll do on the drawers, but I'll have some kind of probably sliding drawers. I like the sliders. They're pretty easy. And then maybe I'll have like a compartment each foot, and then each compartment will like slide open, and that's how I can access those items. So I'll have the storage wall, then I'll have the elevator bed, and underneath the bed will be like a storage lounge. And so I'll have kind of, if you imagine like a big U-shaped sectional, right? And so with the back of it being up against the storage wall. And then I'll have like basically a long couch where you can sit, and then on the side there will also be two little couch areas, and then inside of those, the seating areas, there will be storage as well. So I definitely want to make sure that every, kind of inch of this space is usable for storage. And then moving on the left side of the rig, I'm going to have, for now I just put in countertop. So that allows for up to 125 inches of countertop, but ultimately I will have a refrigerator in here somewhere. I will have a double burner induction cooktop in here somewhere, and also I will have my kitchen sink. And then I'm not quite sure on the placement of the wet bath yet, but the wet bath might actually go back down here in the corner. So I might do the wet bath something like this. I think I kind of want to just tuck it into the wall and just kind of have it disappear. So maybe something like that. Have a little wet bath. Yeah, 10 feet is a lot of counter. But again, that'll include, just the induction cooktop, that's like almost 30 inches. And then a kitchen sink, that's another 30 inches. So by the time you add that, double induction, kitchen sink, plus a refrigerator, it's going to chop down that space quite a bit. And then if we do a wet bath, not if, we will do a wet bath. So I'll probably lose, maybe 3 feet to the wet bath. So it'll quickly be reduced. And then on the right-hand side, I think what I'm going to have is another counter, kind of like what I have now, where I just have a big, long bar stool type counter, and that'll be for like doing computer work and also eating. And I think I'm going to plan this box truck build for 2 people. So I'd like to have a travel partner on this next leg of my journey. And so I think I'll plan the kitchen, or kind of that countertop, to have 2 of these bar stool seats. And so that way, we can hang out there, work on the computer, eat meals, kind of do whatever we want, rather than a traditional, like a dinette where stuff faces each other. I think we'll just do side by side at the countertop looking out the window. And then additionally, I'm going to have at the back an entry door. Now the entry door opens outside, so it opens outward, but I did want to account for space so that when you walk in to the living space, you're not walking right into the edge of a countertop. So I'll probably have like 24 inches or so where it's kind of just open space where you can kind of walk in, step into the living space, and then I might have like a little shoe organizer or something. Diana Sailor, are you still going to get a pet? Yes, I will. So after this build out, I will get a pet. and then I will have also a partner, a girlfriend at some point in the future, in the near future. Okay, so that's kind of just a rough idea, guys. I didn't want to get like this isn't a 3D rendering. This isn't anything super spicy and like exciting, but I just wanted to give you an idea of my overall plans, my layout. Yeah, there's going to be windows. So I haven't put windows in here yet, but basically what I've determined is I like to have a window. I think what I want to do is I'm going to have my head on the driver's side of the vehicle again. So the bed goes this way, head's going to be over here. And the reason for that is when you're parked in a city, whenever you park up on a street, there's a pretty good chance that the passenger side of your vehicle is going to be lower than the driver's side because the way the city streets slope, they slope to the right-hand side to allow for storm water runoff. And so basically, like even right now, as I'm parked, my vehicle is tilted a little bit. And so in this design, your feet are downhill. And so it's pretty easy to sleep with your feet downhill. It's very difficult to sleep with your head downhill. So I will have my head towards the driver's side of the vehicle. I will have a window above my head. Or at the feet. I'm not quite sure. It depends what I'm going to do for a TV. So I've never had a TV in a vehicle. I want to do a nice TV in this one. And so obviously I would want the TV to be like at the foot of the bed so you can see the TV while you're laying in bed. And so if I do like an actual physical, like an LED TV, then I won't put a window on the wall. But if I do a projection screen, if I do a projector, I can have the pull down projection screen, and then I could have a window behind the projection screen. So if I go that route, then I won't, then I could have a window. Because it is kind of nice to wake up and be able to look right outside. So I think in a perfect world, I would basically have a window, oops. Let me delete that. I would basically have a window kind of right here at the foot of the bed. And then I would also have a window right here. Oop, lost my text here. Arrange, bring to front. I would also have a window right here because, again, the passenger side is your best view. Like right now, looking out my passenger window, I get this great view of the park. If this workspace was on the driver's side, I wouldn't have this view. The driver's side is just looking at a parking lot. And so that's usually the case, is you really want all your view windows to be on the passenger side. So I would have basically two windows on the passenger side. I will have one window on the rear. So like right here, there'll be a window. Something like that. It'll be pretty long. And I like big windows. So all these windows would basically be like minimum 32 inches. And then also I would do one right here. Let's see. Oops, let's delete that. Let's do this one right here. Like right here somewhere. Kind of like that. Oops, I realize you guys can't see what I'm doing. Let me cancel this. Okay, so this is basically how I would have it. The red is the windows. So I'd have one window at the foot of my bed. So when you wake up, you can look outside, see what's going on. I would have one window right at the countertop where I'm doing computer work and eating meals, so you can look outside. And then I would have yeah, I realized that, Orange. Sorry about that. You can see the diagram now. And then I would have one window on the opposite side, probably right above either the induction, no, not the induction cooktop, right above the sink. I'd have a window over here, and then I'll have one window at the very back of the rig. So 4 windows in this one, and also that'll give you pretty nice ventilation, nice cross breeze. So if you open up a window on each side or a window front and back, all the air is going to just ventilate really easily, swirl around, and it should give for pretty nice ventilation. So that's kind of the plan on the windows. And so I'll show you guys something else. So this is kind of just my overall diagram, a top-down view. This is kind of just initially what I do to the main thing I'm doing here is just getting measurements and figuring out what will fit. And like, to get an idea, how much counter space can I have, that type of stuff, so I can kind of realize if this is realistic or not. And then the next thing I'm doing when I'm planning out is, so I'm listing all the main features that I want to have just to get them down on paper, so I know things I for sure want to have. So like, for example, elevator bed with a lounge underneath. I'm going to have the wet bath is going to have an electric water heater. So I'm going to have a lot of solar and a big battery system. So I'm going to do the electric water heater. I think Bosch makes one that's like 1.5 gallons or a couple gallons. Let's see what size they make. But it's not going to, on the electric water heaters, let's see. Do they have a 2.5 gallon? Oh, Camp Lux. Okay, Camp Lux has a 4 gallon. So there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Let me pop this up here. Oops. So Camp Lux has a 4 gallon electric water heater, 1.4 kilowatts, 1400 watts, 120 volts. King, this is a 16-foot box truck. So I'll install electric water heater. So going back to the list, these are kind of all the things I want to include: electric water heater, diesel heater, mini split air conditioner. I'm going to do the exact same mini split I did in this vehicle. It's worked out phenomenally. I've been very happy with it. And I have no doubt that it will still cool my larger box truck very well, because I'll be increasing the insulation. And the whole roof will be full of solar. So when you have your whole roof full of solar panels, it helps eliminate how much heat is absorbed into your box truck, because you basically have the solar panels on the roof acting as a shade structure. And then I'm going to do 2,000 plus watts of solar and a 24-volt electrical system again. And so moving on to materials, let me delete this internet page so you guys can see. So here's kind of my list. Moving on to materials, I'm going to use foam subfloor panels. So check this out, guys. And this is, one reason I'm kind of excited to do another build is I've just learned about a lot of products that I was unaware of when I built out this box truck. So this is from Home Depot, and this is a rigid insulation product. It comes in 24-inch by 48-inch sheets, and they're 1-inch thick. And this is actually designed to be used as a subfloor. So check this out. So the foam itself has these little circles on the bottom, and so that allows for air to still pass across your floor and ventilate and hopefully prevent moisture and mold growth. But this foam is super dense, and it has this click lock tongue and groove design. So the the insulation snaps together, and it's designed to be used by itself as a subfloor. So in my previous build, or even in this build, I did 2x2. I think I used 2x2, or was it 1x2? Anyway, I used a wood grid in my flooring with like 3/4 insulation. And so this way, it's just going to be a lot more simple. You just cut the foam subfloor to fit, lay it down, it locks into place, and then you put your flooring material right on top of it. So that's one thing that I mentioned that I definitely want to include in this build is the foam subfloor. And then my next thought, of course, is solar. I want to make sure I can maximize my electrical. And so the question is, how much solar can I fit on the roof of this thing? And so what I did is I just went ahead. I'll show you guys how I calculated this solar. I went ahead and I just Googled. I went on Marketplace. Okay, I went on Facebook Marketplace. You guys know the trick if you've been following my channel. If you just type in solar panel on Facebook Marketplace, you can find all kinds of deals for panels for sale in your area that are cheap, right? Here's a 460 watt panel for $115. Here's a 600 watt panel for 130. These ones were sold out, so I went to this guy's listing, and he has a whole bunch of different panels for sale. And so I just looked down his list, and he mentioned he has these JA Solar 545 watt panels for 190 bucks. I know those are a pretty good, have a pretty good reputation. So then I went ahead and just Googled the panel itself. I got the specs for it. And so I know that these 545 watt panels are 90 inches long and they're 44.6 inches wide. So 90 inches long, that is exactly 7.5 feet, which is exactly the size, the width of my roof. So I could basically fit one of those 545 watt panels end to end if I go widthwise on the roof. And then the only question is how many can we fit? So if I know the roof is 16 feet and we divide that by 45 inches, I can fit about 4.2 panels on the roof. So in that case, I'm just going to do 4. So 4 of those panels, 545 watts apiece, will give me 2,180 watts. Okay, so I can fit 2,180 watts on the roof, which is awesome. In this vehicle, I have a little over 1,200 watts, so I'm definitely getting a lot more solar on the roof. And this system has been great. I mean, I really haven't needed it to produce any more solar than it has. So getting 2,000 watts is going to be awesome. And then as far as calculating the battery bank, if you have a solar system that puts out 2,180 watts per hour, and the mathematical average is on any given day, the sun will give you about 5 hours of usable direct sunlight that's going to be pretty close to directly overhead. So if we take 2,180 watts and we multiply that times 5 hours of sunlight in a day, we could expect to bring in about 10,900 watt hours of energy per day. And so then I would just pick a battery system that matches that or is even a little bit bigger. And to give you guys an idea, the battery system I have now, I have two 12.8 volt, 200 amp hour batteries. And those give me 5,100 watt hours of storage. So I have 5,100 right now, and this bank will be 10,000 watt hours. So I'm basically almost doubling my solar, and I'm definitely doubling my battery capacity. And I might even go bigger. I might even go like 15,000 watt hours, because why not have a little extra capacity in case I come up across a couple days of clouds? So that's kind of what I'm thinking, guys. 2,000 watt, 2,100 watts of solar on the roof, 10 to 15,000 watt hours per day can be collected, or 10,000 can be collected per day. I'll do 10 to 15,000 in my battery bank. No More USMC says it seems foolish not to use 48 volts. And so I would ask No More USMC, please tell me why you think it's foolish not to use 48 volts. And I will tell you guys why I will stick with a 24 volt system. But I want to know why he thinks it's foolish not to use 48 volts. I definitely agree it would be foolish to use 12 volts. 12 volt systems are kind of the old dead and gone ways. And so when it comes to electricity, the thing you're always worried about is efficiency and energy loss. And so anytime you're changing voltages, there's going to be efficiency losses. My mini split is 110 volts. The mini split's 110, but it uses a DC inverter compressor. So it brings in 110, but the compressor is very efficient. So the reason basically when you're building an electrical system, the less that you're converting and having to change electricity, then the more efficient everything is going to be. So for example, if you're going from a 12 volt DC system and you're going up to a 120 volt AC system, there's a lot of voltage that has to be converted and made up, and so that's like the least efficient. If you go from 24 to 120, that's going to be basically twice as efficient as 12 to 120. And then if you go 48 to 120, that's basically twice more efficient as 24 to 120. So as you step up in your DC voltage, you're more and more efficient. No More USMC says double power density. Moving voltage is way cheaper than moving current. Much cheaper wire, less batteries. So on and so forth. So, you know, on a large scale, that's accurate. I mean, yeah, definitely more power density. I get that. Moving voltage is absolutely way cheaper than moving amps. So here's the reason I'm using a 24 volt system. And the reason why is because when you're doing 24 volts, you can run a lot of appliances natively on 24 volts. That means the voltage from your battery bank can go directly to your appliances without having to be converted. I can buy a 24 volt refrigerator, a 24 volt water pump. I can buy a 24 volt fans, LED lighting. A lot of things can be 24 volts, which means it's basically going to be most efficient. If I go with a 48 volt battery bank, any appliance or device that I want to run off that battery bank is going to have to be converted. There are no appliances that run natively at 48 volts that I would want to use in my van. A refrigerator, a water pump, fans, LED lighting, none of that is available in 48 volts. So that means I'm going to have to convert every watt of energy that I use is going to have to be converted from 48 either down to 12 volts or 24 volts or up to 110 volts. And there's really no reason to go to 12 volts because 12 volts is the least efficient. And when you're talking about like a 12 volt refrigerator or 12 volt LED lighting, you have to use pretty large gauge wire because of the voltage drop. And so 12 volt really doesn't make sense. So if I have a 48 volt battery bank, I would be using step down converters to get to 24 volts. So if I'm going to go to 24 volts anyway, I might as well just stay at 24 volts, right? I think the amount of energy I'm saving by having 48 volt battery bank is going to be nominal by the time you consider all the conversions I have to do to actually use my energy. And then let's see. Okay, and then as far as wire size goes, 24 volts is pretty good. I mean, to like wire up my batteries, I'm using 1/aught cable depending on the battery size, but I could use smaller. You know, when you're going from the batteries to the 3000 watt inverter, you can use like a number 4 wire. So it's not too bad. It's definitely bigger than 48 volt, but it's not too much. Also, when I'm using an all-in-one inverter charger, the amount of wiring I'm actually using is very minimal. I mean, I'm not wiring up a separate charge controller and inverter and fusing everything. It's a very small amount of wiring. If you look at like the system that I have currently built in my box truck, it's pretty minimal. So I know 48 volts super popular, and I think it's a great choice. But for me, I still would prefer to do a 24 volt. So I'll do an all-in-one 24 volt system, probably the same one I have now. That SunGold Power unit has been extremely reliable. I haven't had any issues with it, and so I see really no reason, you know, to get anything different. And then I'll probably do, the one thing I'll do is I'll do native 24 volt batteries rather than using 12 volt batteries in series to make a 24 volt system. I will use 24 volt native batteries, and that way if I do have a battery fail, I could just remove the damaged battery from the system and I won't lose 2 batteries. Let me go back to the chat and see where we're at now. Antonio says, why do you want a water heater with a tank? Well, I only plan to use my water heater for showers, and I only plan to shower every few days. And it should only take an hour or so to heat up a 4-gallon tank. So my thought is I'll just kick the water heater on an hour, 90 minutes before I want to use it, take a shower, and then kick it off. Um, Tankless water heaters pull a lot more current because they need a lot more juice to instantly flash heat that water. In fact, the box truck that Wanderbox is building out for Zach, that thing has a tankless on-demand water heater, and it's like a 230 volt water heater, and it pulls, I forget what it pulls. It pulls an insane amount of watts. I want to say it pulls like 50. It I want to say it pulls like 20 or 30,000 watts or something. It's absolutely crazy the amount of power it pulls. So yeah, tankless with pure electric is pretty difficult. If I was trying to do tankless and do a lot of water like that, I would just do propane. But for me, I want to stick to pure electric. I won't be showering often, and so I think just doing like a 4.5-gallon tank, just firing it up an hour before I take a shower, I think it should be fine. DJ Life. So you're not gonna have cab to living area access. That's true. Oop, hold on. Getting a phone call. I'm on a live stream, sir. Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I really um was not interested in doing a this style box truck before because I wanted. Hold on, I'm gonna turn the lights on. It's dark in here. I feel like I'm in a Halloween movie. Let me put my curtains down so the people outside can't see me. With even with tinted windows, when you turn the lights on inside and it's dark outside, everyone outside can see. Hold on. All right, much better. Much better. Here we are. Okay, so um let's see, where were we? Oh yeah, cab access. So that was the thing. The reason I never considered an NPR before is because I wanted to always have access from the cab to the box truck. But in this box truck, I've had a bunch of extra supplies with me since going to Burning Man. I brought a bunch of power stations and extra stuff, and so basically my whole bed has been stuck in bed mode because I have the underside loaded up with stuff. And so I haven't been folding it up into bench mode. And after living this way for, a couple months now, I just realized like I think I'm okay without it. I think I'm okay without the cab to box access. I'm okay giving that up. Everything in van life is about trade-offs. And so the trade-off is if I wanted a 16-foot box and I wanted to have a cab, access, I would have to have a different vehicle that would have a longer chassis. Then I'd be at 25 feet instead of 23 feet. I'd have to be back at like in a Econoline or something. So anyway, it's all about trade-offs, and it seems like this is probably going to be um, the best option. Okay, let me go back to the chat. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oops. Let me see what's going on here. Okay, okay. Oh, another thing I'll say on the 24 volt electrical system is you can buy 12 to 24 volt DC chargers. So if you want to charge your battery bank off the alternator, you can buy one that goes from your 12 volt alternator to a 24 volt battery bank. To my knowledge, I don't think they have one yet for 48 volts. I don't think. So that's just one other thing that is pretty easy to do on 24 volts. Will is asking, are you getting the Happy Jack bed system from Wanderbox? I I really don't want to get a Happy Jack just because they're so expensive. it just irritates me that a Happy Jack is like they're like $2,300, and it seems like it's overkill. I mean, all I'm going to be lifting up and down is a wooden slat bed frame and a memory foam mattress. The combined weight of everything that I'm moving is going to be like maybe 60 pounds max. And it seems overkill to have this big rigid steel frame with a chain drive with a motor just to move 60 pounds up and down 4 feet. And it's 2,300 bucks. So I really don't want to do a Happy Jack. Um, so I'm kind of open to alternate ideas. I know the they have the solenoids. So they have the solenoid activated lift systems you can get. William Marshall did one in his box truck. I toured his box truck down at Schoolie Palooza last year. And so I might try to do the linear actuators for the bed lift. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do, but I really don't want to spend $2,300 on a Happy Jack. Um, yeah, Charlie Pep and I agree with you. Yeah, the thing is, I don't think Zach actually has that much solar. I think because they did the Renogy 550-watt panels on the roof, and I don't know how many he has, but I think he's only got 6 max. I think he only has 5 or 6 of those panels, which would only be 2,500 to 3,000 watts. So he does have a good amount of solar, but it's really not like it's not like a crazy amount. His battery bank is way bigger. He has like 30. I want to say he has two 15 kilowatt battery banks. I think Zach has 30 kilowatts of battery, which is crazy. And then he has like around 3,000 watts of solar. Last lines, a diesel heater might work well. Yes, that's also on my list. I will be using a diesel heater. I prefer a diesel heater for heating. The hot air put out by a diesel heater is very, very enjoyable. I don't like a mini split for heating, and the reason why is the mini split head is located up at the top of the ceiling. And so when you're in heating mode, all your heat rises anyway. And then if your hot air is also in the ceiling, then basically all the heat is just swirling around up top. And then as you go lower in the vehicle, it's cool. So I know because I've tested it in this box truck. The floor is cold, your feet are like popsicles, your legs are cold, your waist is cold, your chest is warm, and then your head is hot. It's an absolute nightmare. So I don't think in a small vehicle like this, I don't think a mini split is good for heating. And I think you would want to have like carpeted flooring or something. You'd have to have really a lot better insulation for a mini split to properly heat. So that's why I like a diesel heater. The output hose is down low. It's super hot. It's like 130, 140 degrees coming out. It's cooking, and it's just a really comfortable, cozy heat. So I will do a diesel heater. Adriel Brandt, heck yeah, Brad, love your videos coming from Reno, Nevada. Hello, happy to have you here. Will, it was mentioned that Zach is using Tesla batteries in his build. He's not using Tesla batteries. He's not using Tesla batteries. You can look at, he's using EG4 batteries. You can look at his build videos. He has two EG4 15 kilowatt battery, wall mounted battery packs. And then he has the big ass EG4 inverter. I don't remember which one. It's a monster. But yeah, he's using EG4 from Signature Solar. I do know a guy that has a Tesla battery, though. The guy that's camping out with Mark from Wanderbox, his name's George. Or Jason, maybe? Maybe it's Jason. And he has a Tesla battery in the floor of his box truck. But here's the problem. It's such a big battery, he can't charge it, and he can't keep it charged. Like, he basically drives around all day at 30% battery because it's just so massive. And then also, because it's such a big battery, like the inverter system and the charging system, all that stuff draws a ton of power when it's operating. and he only has 2,000 watts of solar on his roof. And so actually, I think he's hurt himself by having such a large battery bank in combination with such a small solar system. So it's not always bigger is better, especially when you're talking about big Tesla batteries. I saw a YouTube video where they used a 4-gallon electric heater. They removed a heating element and put no. No. I mean, it's possible, but no. The amount of it's all about current, right? Like the amount of current required to heat up a 120 volt element, it's much less current. If you try to heat water with 12 volts to be the same level, you would need huge fat cables. It would pull a ton of amps. It would be hot. There'd be a ton of energy loss. That doesn't make sense. Okay, Charlie Pepin. Yeah, there you go. You could put a door in the cab and a door in the box to walk through. You know what, Charlie Pepin? That's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, the reality is it's pretty rare that I use the pass-through. And the main reason I wanted to have it was just for an emergency type situation where, I just really don't want to go outside to drive away. I've never been in that situation, knock on wood. But I just like the idea of having that as an option. So that's not a bad idea. Just put a door on each, and you just have to hop through the elements. So I might consider doing that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Jay Stewart checking in. I'll check out the full video tomorrow. Looking forward to your new build. Thanks, Jay. I'm excited. Excited for the new build. Dr. Acer Chromebook. They have 48 volt alternators, but you need two. Yep. So I mean, there's an option, but that's like I'm not looking into all that business. I'm sure 48 volt alternators are, you know, $400 or $500 a piece. You got to get two of them and install them and engineer it, and that's just a lot of work. Doesn't make sense to me. Hey Brad, you can do what Jesus is doing. He's using air pistons. Yeah, King Gamer. That's good advice. Thank you. I appreciate that. I will have to look into that. I would consider air pistons because you would only need air to lift the bed, and then when you want to put the bed down, you just bleed out the air. So I actually like the idea of an air piston because I think it would be more reliable. I don't trust those Chinese pneumatic or the Chinese linear actuators. All the ones I've seen, they're all from Amazon, from China, from AliExpress. They're $50 a piece. And I just don't trust them when you're using the same thing twice a day, every day. I don't trust it to last that long. And the problem is if it breaks with your bed up in the up position, then you're stuck. Then you can't get your bed down. So it's like you can't even sleep until you get it fixed. So I don't really trust the linear actuators too much. So I appreciate it, King. I will look into air pistons. I would need an air compressor, but that's not a problem. I kind of want to do airbags anyway, just for extra suspension. So adding an air compressor wouldn't be an issue. What about a Murphy bed? Yeah, you can do a Murphy bed. Here's the problem with a Murphy bed, and I know because I built a Murphy bed in my last box truck. And in fact, if you go back through my videos, I have a box truck tour of my box truck with a Murphy bed, my last box truck. And so the issue with a Murphy bed is this. Let me try to draw it for you guys here. Where's my pages? Here we go. Okay. Let me see if you guys can see this. Yes, you can. Okay, so here's the bed. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, this green portion, let's say this is a Murphy bed instead of a elevator bed. That would mean that in order for the Murphy bed to work, the pivot point for the bed, it has to be about 6 inches off the ground. So that basically means it has to take You have to take off 6 inches from how long the bed can be. It has to be 6 inches off the ground. And then the challenge is all the space underneath the bed, like the whole wall of the bed and the space underneath it, you can't use for anything else. Because when the bed, slides down, the bed has to basically be on the ground. Because if the bed is elevated, say a foot off the ground, but you have you have 7 foot ceilings, then your bed can only be 6 feet long. So it's like this math game of if you move the bed up, it has to be short. But then if you have the bed all the way down, then you can't have any storage or seating underneath the bed. That whole footprint of the bed basically has to be clear. So I would be giving up like a 4 foot wide by 7 foot section of my flooring. I would have to give up that space where I couldn't put anything there because during the nighttime, that's where the bed has to swing down to go. And then during the day, you can fold it up, but then you just have this big empty space, but you can't really do anything permanent except like stand there. So if you wanted like a workout space or like a yoga space or something like that, then I think a Murphy bed would be a good idea. But for me, I really want to have a dual purpose space. So I want to have the bed, but also a lounge area where I can have couches and I can have multiple people sitting down, hanging out. And so, like in my mind, having the combination of a motorized bed or a pneumatic bed with couches underneath kind of makes the most sense. And that's why I'm not doing a Murphy bed. Now, you could do a Murphy the other way, right? You could do it long ways on the wall. So then when you fold it down, it only sticks out like 4 feet into the room. But then you're giving up like 6.5 feet of wall space. So now there's 6.5 feet of wall space that you can't really use for anything. And then again, you can't really put anything underneath it. So that's kind of the challenge that I've had with the Murphy bed. And that's the reason I haven't done one, or I actually did do one in my last box truck. But after having it for a while, I realized it was not ideal. But I do think if you were going to do a Murphy bed, the way to do it would be to have it mount on the wall long ways. And then it just folds down, right? So it just folds down. I don't know. Maybe you could do that. Maybe you could do it like on the back wall. You could have a Murphy bed. You could have it up higher because now it's only going to be like like by the time you figure the mattress plus the bed frame, you're talking about probably 4.5 feet. So the Murphy bed could be 4.5 feet, but if the floor to ceiling is 7, let's see what we got here. Yeah, so that's the problem. So if you have a 4.5 foot Murphy bed that's 4.5 feet wide, you only have 2.5 feet between the bed and the floor. So the Murphy bed could only be like 2 feet off the ground. And so you wouldn't be able to put any seating underneath it. So that would be a little bit of a challenge. Anyway, I'll think about it. The Murphy bed I did in the past didn't work out. I did it long ways. Maybe you could do it widthwise. But in my opinion, I think the best thing is to have the motorized bed lift. Acer Chromebook, same size as yours, 90 by 45. Zach has 30 kilowatts. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, no Tesla batteries. Acer Chromebook, 6K. Jason in his name, aka Jesus. Yeah, that's what threw me off. Is Jason's name is Jason, but he goes by Jesus, and then his Instagram name is like builds love. So there's a lot going on there. Um, what's the best place you visited, and also worst? Um, best place I've visited. That's a tough one. I've been to a lot of cool spots. My favorite spot ever was the Olympic National Rainforest in Washington. It's absolutely beautiful. It feels like you're in a foreign land. Just the diverse vegetation and the hiking trails and the everything about it was so beautiful. I think that's my favorite spot. Um, Pacific National Rainforest up in Washington, very up in the northwest corner. Worst place I've been. Uh, I mean, I've been to some pretty crappy towns in California. Just any trashy city town in California is pretty bad. I'm a nature guy, so for me the best is the most nature and the worst is the least nature and also ghetto and dangerous. So maybe El Cajon, California is pretty ghetto and it's hot. Are you planning to add a security system or DVR? Yeah, I think I am. I think I'm going to add a security system. And honestly, I think I want to do it also for videos. I think I want to be able to get a security system where I can record or stream the live feed directly. And so that would allow me to pull up and like, for stealth camping videos and stuff, maybe I could kind of like do a little video tour of what's going on outside, show my surroundings, that type of thing. So I definitely want to do some kind of a camera system on the new rig. And Dave, Sir on Dave has the Ring cameras on his box truck, and he has a T-Mobile home internet spot in his vehicle. And so like just last night we were camped out, and he called me and he was like, "Hey bro, can you go check on my van? There's like some dude kind of lingering around." And so he could see from his Ring camera that there was some guy in the area, and so he had me go take a look at it. So it's kind of cool that he can just hop in on his phone, see what's going on. I kind of like that for peace of mind. Yeah, yeah. So we'll see as far as Charlie Pepin's asking about overlanding. I'm not sure. I've definitely looked at some pretty cool vehicles, the Suzus that are lifted with four-wheel drive conversion. So it's all a battle of money versus desire, right? So we'll see how the money situation works out. The first plan is the build. And then also, if I go with a lift kit and big tires, I'm going to be increasing my height. And so I don't know how tall I want to be, because at the same time, I still want to be able to clear tree branches and, be able to park it pretty easily. So I'm not sure yet, but we'll start with the 16-foot box on the NPR chassis and we'll just see how it goes. But I'm definitely not opposed to some kind of a four-wheel drive setup. Um, I have a lot of plans to go back to the Pacific Northwest, and I think it would be cool. Yep. Acer Chromebook definitely doing a big TV, that's for sure. Violet at Content Boutique. I saw a video tour on Bob Wells where the fella had his Murphy bed folded down into his daytime couch. Interesting. Storage underneath. Yeah, I really believe there's a lot of creative solutions, and I think that I just am not I think a lot of it requires designing, right? Like I've seen online some of that cool furniture they make that's like convertible and like where the bookcase folds down into like a dinner table. There's all kinds of things that are possible with some computer design and engineering. So I'll have to kind of keep an eye out and look at, hit YouTube again and see what's possible. When it gets time to actually pull the trigger on a bed design, I'll have to take another look at what's out there. And I'm totally open-minded though. If I can find some type of a Murphy bed situation that folds easily into a couch and there's storage, I totally like that idea. Diana Saylor says, "Thank you for another great chat. Did you get the super chat?" Oh, I got a super chat from Diana. Thank you, Diana. Let me take a peek here. I did not see it come through. I must have been too busy yakking. Um, let's see. Um, I don't. Oh, here we go. Fan funding super chats. Here we go. Okay, yes. I see Diana Saylor came through with the super chat. It says, "Good job." She's got a little fox in a kimono giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Diana. I appreciate you supporting the channel. Diana is an OG. She's been around for years. Diana was around when I was in my previous box truck, 3 years ago. And so I'm happy to have her around and happy to see that she's still sticking at it. And Diana, thanks for coming by tonight. And I hope you're able to be in a situation soon where you can start traveling, get out and live the nomad dream. Taylor is asking if I'll go back to Texas. Definitely not. I have no plans to go back to Texas. It's hot. Um, I liked Austin. Austin was beautiful. But other than Austin, it's just hot. It's a bitch to get there. You have to drive through 13 hours of flat, ugly desert. And there's nothing exciting to do outside of Austin, really. It's just hot and flat. I mean, the closest cool nature spot, you have to drive, 3 days up into the mountains in New Mexico. So I really don't have plans to go back to Texas. Oh my goodness, I have a nose hair that's like tweaking out. Um, unless the world falls apart and I need some freedom, Texas might be the only place to go for freedom. So that's the only caveat. If the whole world falls apart, I might go back to Texas for some freedom. Um, Polish American, if you make it back to Washington, let me know. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'll definitely let you guys know. So for the plan for the rest of this year is that I am going to be slowly heading south through California. I'm meeting up with somebody on Saturday, and I'm going to film a YouTube video in Costa Mesa. And then I'm heading from Costa Mesa, I'm basically going straight to San Diego. And so I'll be in San Diego for a couple of weeks until the temperature cools down in Arizona. Then I'm going to cross over to Arizona. I'll be in Arizona all winter, working, doing nomad events, and building out my next vehicle. And then depending how things go, I don't think I'll get it completely finished um, this winter. So probably in sometime in March or April, once the weather gets unbearable in Arizona, I'll cross over to San Diego and I'll probably finish up my build in San Diego. And then maybe next summer, like July or August, I can head up in my new build up to the Pacific Northwest. And I'd love to spend July, August, September up in the PNW and then turn around, head south, and do it all again. I think that'd be super exciting. So that's it for me, guys. We've been going almost an hour and a half. I'm ready to call it a night. I'm gonna go make some food. I appreciate everyone for being here. And just so you guys know, the live streams for the next foreseeable future is basically just going to be a combination of where I'm at and then also the box truck build. So I'm just going to keep going on this build, keep designing it. I'm going to be sharing with you guys products that I find along the way and designs and thoughts. So if you guys liked today's live and you want to catch more of it, if you're planning a build or thinking about a build or doing upgrades or something, I think this would be a great place to come hang out and collaborate and just kind of toss some ideas around. So I'll hope to see you guys next Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific. In the meantime, I will be putting out a video Sunday, and that will include this trip here through California as well as some e-bike riding with Sir on Dave. So I hope to see you all next week live on Wednesday. Goodbye, everyone. Nomad King Gamer, thanks for stopping by. Look forward to seeing you soon. Donald Frazier, Taylor, Hector, Ace Chromebook, please give me a like. I appreciate you guys, and I will see you next Wednesday. Peace.